Have you ever paused to wonder if the way you move through the world today still reflects the dignity and vitality you've built over a lifetime? If small, unnoticed habits might be quietly pushing people away, not because they love you any less, but because they feel something has changed, something no one quite knows how to tell you? As a physician who has spent more than 3 decades walking beside patients through the complex, beautiful, and often humbling journey of aging, I can tell you this truth. Aging well isn't just about health metrics or physical appearance. It's about the unseen energy we bring into every room, every conversation, every connection. But aging also brings blind spots, little shifts in behavior, speech, and presence that, left unnoticed, can quietly erode relationships built over decades. Most people around you, your children, your grandchildren, your friends, will never say it out loud. They'll adjust their visits, shorten their calls, retreat ever so slightly. Not out of disrespect, but out of quiet discomfort they cannot name. And here's the good news. It doesn't have to be that way. In this video, we're going to gently hold up a mirror, not to shame, but to empower. We'll uncover 12 habits that can slowly chip away at dignity and connection if left unchecked. And more importantly, we'll explore how simple, mindful shifts can rebuild the bridges that matter most. These insights are not judgments. They are gifts, hard-earned truths I wish every person had the courage to hear while there is still so much beautiful life ahead to live. So I invite you, stay with me through this full conversation. Listen not with fear or defensiveness, but with the same bravery that carried you through the hardest chapters of life. Because a few small changes made with intention could unlock a level of closeness, admiration, and vitality that even time cannot take away. Before we dive in, if you find value in these conversations, please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and share it with someone you care about. Your support fuels our mission to bring more wisdom, light, and compassion into the aging journey. Let's begin. Number 1, neglecting personal hygiene. The silent message you send. It starts subtly. A day when you decide not to change your shirt because it's just one more day. A missed shower because no one is coming over. Fingernails that grow a little longer than intended. Hair that goes unbrushed because what's the point? You might not even notice it happening. Life gets tiring. Motivation shifts. After all, you've earned your rest, haven't you? But while you might feel that these little slips are inconsequential, those around you pick up on them more than you realize. Not through judgment, but through instinct. Humans are wired to respond to nonverbal cues, and personal hygiene, or the lack of it, sends a message louder than any words you could speak. When you take care of your appearance, you tell the world, I am still here. I still matter. I respect myself and those around me. When hygiene quietly slips, the message becomes, I've begun to let go. And the people who love you, especially the younger ones who look up to you, may not know how to process that feeling. They won't confront you. Instead, they will adjust quietly. They may sit farther away. They may shorten their visits. They may feel a twinge of sadness they cannot name. I once cared for a retired librarian named Mrs. Ellis, a woman with a mind as sharp as ever, but whose physical care waned after losing her husband. Slowly, her book club friends stopped lingering after meetings. Her grandchildren, once excited to visit, grew uneasy. Not because her heart changed, but because the unspoken signals of disconnection had begun to cloud the warmth she still carried inside. This is not about perfection. It is not about vanity. It is about preserving the silent dignity that speaks long before you open your mouth. A fresh shirt, brushed hair, clean nails. These are small acts of self-respect that ripple outward, inviting others to respond with warmth, closeness, and respect in return. Energy is contagious. When you show that you are still actively participating in life, others are drawn closer. When you silently signal withdrawal, even without meaning to, they mirror it. So tomorrow, when you rise, treat the act of caring for yourself as a sacred ritual. It is not about impressing anyone. It is about honoring the incredible journey you've walked to get here, and signaling to the world that your story is still being written. Number 2, speaking without a filter. When honesty hurts instead of helps. One of the more tender shifts I have witnessed among my older patients is a loosening of the filter that once tempered their words. Perhaps it comes from decades of navigating life's trials. Perhaps it comes from the hard-earned belief that I've earned the right to say what I think. But as the inner editor grows quieter, something else grows louder. The unintended sting of unfiltered honesty. You might feel liberated speaking freely, saying exactly what crosses your mind without hesitation. But what feels like straightforwardness to you can often land as sharpness to those around you. Words intended as observations can feel like criticisms. Jokes meant to lighten the mood can land as subtle wounds. I remember a remarkable woman, Mrs. Talbot, who had built a life on wisdom, strength, and humor. Yet in her later years, she became known for telling it like it is at family gatherings. When she commented bluntly on her daughter's weight or criticized her grandson's career choices, she did not intend harm. She thought she was sharing truths that others needed to hear. But over time, the laughter faded. Invitations became less frequent. Her family loved her deeply, but they tiptoed around her, afraid of the next unguarded remark. It's easy to believe that honesty is enough, that speaking your mind without restraint is a sign of authenticity. But real wisdom knows better. Real wisdom asks, is this true? Is this necessary? Is this kind? The greatest influence does not come from sharp words. It comes from words wrapped in care, compassion, and timing. Speaking your truth can be a beautiful thing, but only when it builds connection rather than walls. So before you offer that unfiltered opinion, pause. Ask yourself, will this help the person grow? Will this strengthen our bond? Or am I speaking only to vent my own frustration? Because every word you speak either invites someone closer or pushes them quietly away. The beauty of aging is not having the right to say whatever you want. It is having the discernment to know when silence, understanding, or a gentle question might serve better than bluntness. Choose kindness seasoned with honesty. Choose to be the elder whose words are sought after, not feared. And in doing so, you will not only preserve the bonds you treasure, you will deepen them. Number 3, wearing clothes that no longer fit, a silent statement of giving up. There is a quiet dignity in how we present ourselves to the world, and it speaks volumes long before we open our mouths. Clothing, whether we recognize it or not, is a language. It tells others how we feel about ourselves, how engaged we are with life, and whether we still find worth in showing up fully. As we age, it is natural to cling to the familiar. The favorite jacket from 2 decades ago, the comfortable pair of pants worn threadbare from years of loyal service. There's a comfort in those fabrics, a sense of identity. But here's where the line quietly shifts. When comfort becomes complacency, and the clothes we choose no longer fit not just our bodies, but the seasons of our lives. I remember Mr. Benson, a former school principal who had once been a symbol of discipline and pride. As he aged, he continued to wear his old suits, even as they sagged from his shoulders and pooled awkwardly at his ankles. He believed he was holding on to dignity. Yet to those around him, the ill-fitting clothing whispered a different story, one of slow surrender. Clothes that are too loose, too tight, faded, or simply outdated send an unintended message. I no longer see myself. And when others pick up that signal, even unconsciously, it alters the energy between you. It subtly diminishes the admiration and engagement they feel. This is not about chasing fashion trends or pretending to be 20 years younger. It's about honoring the body you have now, dressing it with care, respect, and presence. A well-fitting sweater, a pair of trousers that move comfortably with you, shoes that are clean and supportive. These small choices breathe vitality into your presence. Your clothing should not be a relic of who you once were. It should be a celebration of who you still are. Dressing with intention says, I value today. I value myself. I value the company I keep. When you choose garments that fit your current body and your current spirit, you quietly reaffirm your participation in life. People notice it, often without realizing why. They feel uplifted in your presence. They see you not as the elderly relative or the aging neighbor, but as a living, breathing, fully engaged soul who is still writing their story. So take a fresh look at your wardrobe. Keep the pieces that honor your journey. Let go of those that whisper of days long gone. Invest not in quantity, but in quality. Pieces that make you feel alive, confident, and connected to the world you still have so much to offer. Choosing to dress with pride isn't about vanity. It's about signaling to yourself and to the world that no matter the number of your years, you still show up for life with your head held high. Number 4, interrupting or dominating conversations. Good intentions gone wrong. There is a deep and natural desire, especially in later years, to share the lessons you've gathered across a lifetime. After all, experience is a treasure, and passing it on feels like a gift of love. But without realizing it, this instinct can sometimes lead to one of the quietest forms of disconnection. Speaking over others, steering every conversation, and unintentionally silencing the very people you long to reach. It begins innocently enough. Someone mentions a struggle at work, and you immediately recognize it from your own past. You want to offer advice, to save them the trouble of learning the hard way. Or a grandchild begins to share a new idea, and you swiftly step in with, "Let me tell you what you should do." Over time, these well-meaning interruptions pile up. They signal not "I care," but "I don't trust you to find your own way." And the people around you, particularly the younger ones, start to retreat. Conversations grow shorter. Invitations grow fewer. They love you, but they begin to protect their sense of autonomy by pulling away. I think often of Mr. Dalton, a former engineer with a brilliant mind and a big heart. Every time his granddaughter tried to explain her new job in graphic design, he would cut in with stories from his days drafting by hand, telling her how real design should be done. His intent was to bond through shared passion. Yet what she felt each time was unseen and unheard. True connection does not come from lecturing or correcting. It comes from listening. It means allowing pauses in conversation without rushing to fill them. It means asking questions and being curious about the answers, even when they don't align with your own experiences. It means remembering that sometimes people don't want advice, they simply want to be heard. When you dominate a conversation, you leave no space for others to bring their full selves to the table. But when you hold back just enough to let others express themselves completely, you create the rare and precious gift of being a safe harbor. Imagine the difference between a conversation where someone walks away feeling, "They really understood me," versus "They talked at me the whole time." The first builds trust. The second builds distance. You don't lose your wisdom by speaking less. You amplify it. Because when you do speak, your words carry weight. They feel thoughtful, not automatic. They feel invited, not imposed. So next time you find yourself in the flow of conversation, check in with yourself. Are you truly listening? Are you leaving space for discovery, not just delivery? Your restraint, your curiosity, your willingness to be present without overpowering. These will be the bridges that keep your relationships vibrant, not just preserved but alive with new energy. Number 5, complaining about kids these days. A fast track to loneliness. It often starts with a harmless comment. You see a young person glued to their phone and think to yourself, "In my day, we actually talked to each other." You hear a young professional speaking passionately about a cause you don't understand and shake your head. These kids don't know anything about real life. At first, these thoughts feel like small observations, a little grumble rooted in nostalgia for a world that felt more familiar, more manageable. But over time, when these complaints become a recurring theme, they do something deeply corrosive. They build invisible walls between you and the very people you hope to stay connected to. I once knew a retired coach named Mr. Harding, a man with a lifetime of leadership and teaching behind him. Yet at every family gathering, he would start conversations with criticisms of how soft the younger generation had become. His grandchildren, bright and ambitious, slowly began sitting farther away at reunions. They still loved him, but they shared less. Not because he had lost their love, but because they no longer felt truly seen or understood. When we default to complaining about younger generations, the message we unintentionally send is, "I don't believe in you. I don't respect the world you're trying to build." And make no mistake, younger people hear this message loud and clear. Even if they don't argue back, even if they nod politely, they internalize it. They start to withhold their dreams, their struggles, their victories. Not out of spite, but out of quiet self-protection. Every generation faces different challenges. The battles today are not lesser. They are simply different. Economic uncertainty, social complexity, mental health crises. These are the front lines now. And when you look past the surface and truly listen, you find that younger generations are not weaker. They are navigating storms that past generations could never have imagined. Instead of critiquing, try asking. Instead of dismissing, try learning. Tell me what it's like to build a career today. What gives you hope about the future? What worries you? These questions open doors that criticism slams shut. You have the power to be a bridge between the past and the future. To share your wisdom not as a weapon, but as a gift. To become the elder others seek out for guidance, for encouragement, for understanding. When you choose curiosity over criticism, when you affirm rather than belittle, you don't just preserve relationships. You nurture them. You become the rare kind of elder whose influence endures because it is rooted in love, in respect, and in a willingness to keep growing. Because ultimately, it is not your agreement with every new idea that makes you admirable. It is your openness, your humility, your ability to recognize that each generation carries forward the light in its own way. And when you nurture that light instead of trying to extinguish it, you stay forever young in spirit, no matter the number of your years. Number 6, ignoring modern etiquette. The rules you didn't know changed. There was a time when speaking your mind loudly on a street corner, playing a radio without headphones, or standing close in line was simply part of the world's messy, vibrant fabric. People were more forgiving. Life was slower. Expectations were different. But times have changed, and with them, so have the unwritten rules of respect in public spaces. Today, courtesy looks different, and failing to notice these changes can quietly set you apart in a way you never intended. Not as someone to be admired, but someone to be tiptoed around. I once observed Mr. Langford, a kind-hearted man in his 70s, at a busy coffee shop. His voice, accustomed to commanding a room in his younger days, boomed over the chatter as he took a business call on speakerphone. He meant no harm, but the glances, the subtle shifting of chairs away from him, told a silent story. The rules had changed and he hadn't noticed. Modern etiquette is not about being rigid or formal. It is about awareness, about understanding that private conversations are now expected to stay private. That space, physical, emotional, auditory, is now a currency of respect. When you play videos aloud in waiting rooms, others feel invaded. When you stand too close in grocery lines, others feel crowded. When your voice carries across a quiet space, others feel unsettled. They rarely say anything directly, they simply withdraw, quietly marking you as out of touch. This quiet withdrawal is not about ageism or unfair judgment. It is about a desire for mutual consideration, something every generation values, even if it expresses it differently. Learning these modern social cues is not about pretending to be younger. It is about demonstrating that you are still engaged, still adaptable, still connected to the evolving world. Pay attention the next time you're in a shared space. Notice how others use their phones, manage their voices, respect personal bubbles. Let yourself adjust gently, without resentment, without defensiveness. When you move through the world with subtle awareness, you signal something powerful. I may have decades behind me, but I am still living, still learning, still honoring the people around me. And that simple signal, invisible though it may seem, draws people closer. It says, I see you. I respect you. I am still growing. Respect, after all, is not something you demand. It is something you earn every day, in every small choice. Number 7, oversharing medical problems, turning relationships into waiting rooms. It's natural to talk about what's happening in your life. And when you're living with aches, surgeries, medications, and doctor's visits, those things become a real part of your everyday experience. Sharing them is human. Seeking empathy is human. But when health complaints become the dominant theme of every conversation, something precious begins to slip away: the joy of connection. I remember a woman named Mrs. Carver, a spirited soul who had once been the center of every gathering with her infectious laugh and endless curiosity. As she aged, her conversations gradually shifted. Where she once asked others about their lives, she now chronicled her own physical ailments in exhaustive detail: the surgeries, the side effects, the doctors who disappointed her. Slowly, family members stopped lingering after visits. Friends made excuses. The energy in the room grew heavier and heavier. It wasn't that they didn't care about her health. They did. But when every interaction became a medical update, they felt helpless, burdened, even drained. People long for lightness, for stories, for humor, for simple moments of shared life. When the conversation becomes a waiting room recitation, they feel trapped rather than nourished. Your medical journey is real, and it deserves respect. But it should never become the only story you tell. Balance is the key. Of course, share important updates with those who love you, but also make space for the other parts of your beautiful, complex life. The book you're reading, the bird you noticed outside your window, the memory that made you smile today. When you sprinkle conversations with curiosity about others, when you let light and laughter back into the room, you invite people to stay. You remind them, and yourself, that you are more than your blood pressure reading or your last MRI scan. There is still so much of you that has nothing to do with hospital walls or prescription bottles. When you lead with that richness, people lean in. They laugh with you. They stay a little longer. They see not just the struggles of aging, but the radiant spirit that time cannot dim. And in doing so, you transform every encounter from a waiting room into a living room, a space of warmth, hope, and belonging. Number 8, clinging to outdated beliefs. When principles become prison walls. Principles are powerful. They are the scaffolding of a meaningful life, the lessons learned through years of trial, error, love, and loss. But when principles harden into unbending dogmas, they stop protecting us and start imprisoning us. There is a fine, painful line between holding strong values and refusing to grow. And when we cling too tightly to outdated beliefs, we often don't just limit ourselves. We quietly wall ourselves off from those we care about most. I think of Mr. Green, a man of great integrity and strength. He had built a career, a family, and a reputation on discipline and hard work. Yet as times changed, so did the culture around him. His grandson's dreams of working in the environmental sciences, a field Mr. Green saw as unrealistic, were met with sharp disapproval. "In my day," he would grumble, "we chose careers that paid the bills, not pie-in-the-sky ideas." Each time he dismissed his grandson's passion, a thread between them frayed. Conversations grew stilted. Trust eroded, not because Mr. Green meant to harm, but because he couldn't see that times had changed, and that change did not erase the value of his own past. It simply called for a new kind of listening. When we insist that the old ways are the only ways, we force others to choose between their truth and our approval. And often, to protect themselves, they pull away. True wisdom doesn't cling to the past like a shield. It honors the past while remaining open to the present. It says, "Here is what I know, and I am still willing to learn." It takes courage to update your understanding of the world, to recognize that technology, culture, relationships, and identities are evolving faster than ever. That what was once unimaginable is now the new normal. You don't have to agree with everything. You don't have to abandon your hard-won principles. But when you stay curious, when you replace judgment with genuine questions, you create bridges where there would otherwise be barriers. Ask your granddaughter about her activism without rolling your eyes. Listen to your nephew explain his startup dream without dismissing it as foolish. Let your neighbor tell you about their new lifestyle without thinking first of how it contradicts your old beliefs. You may not change your mind, but you will change your impact. You will remain someone whose presence feels like an invitation, not an interrogation. And most of all, you will continue to grow, not just older, but wiser, kinder, and ever more relevant to the world still unfolding around you. Because the greatest legacy you leave is not just what you believed. It's how you made others feel about their right to believe, to dream, and to live fully. Number 9, moving without spatial awareness. Unintended friction. As we age, changes in our mobility are often subtle at first. A slower pace, a bit more caution when walking, a natural focus on maintaining balance and stability. But with those physical shifts can come an invisible change we don't always notice, a loss of spatial awareness. Without meaning to, you might find yourself blocking an aisle at the store while examining a can of soup, stopping abruptly in a crowded walkway, or drifting into someone else's personal space without realizing it. These moments may seem minor to you, but to those around you, they create a ripple of frustration and friction. I once watched Mr. Peterson, a spry gentleman with a warm heart, inadvertently cause small traffic jams in the local library. He would stop mid-aisle to chat with friends, unaware of the quiet irritation building as others navigated around him. No one scolded him. No one confronted him. But over time, fewer spontaneous conversations happened. Fewer invitations were extended. People notice when they feel crowded, blocked, or overlooked. They may not say anything aloud, but the tension lingers. It colors how they experience your presence. Being mindful of spatial awareness isn't about rushing or moving faster. It's about staying attuned to the flow of people around you. It means pausing to the side when you need to stop and check your list. It means keeping conversations to the edges of walkways. It means being aware of your surroundings with the same graciousness you once taught your children. This attentiveness sends a powerful, silent message. I am still considerate. I am still part of the living rhythm of the world. Spatial awareness preserves your dignity because it shows that while your body may move differently, your spirit remains alert, respectful, and engaged. It tells the world that you have not retreated into yourself, but are still moving with others, not against them. When you move through public spaces with intention and care, you invite others to move with you, not around you. You remain a welcomed presence, not a navigational obstacle. And in doing so, you uphold the grace that no passage of time can ever take away. Number 10, making jokes that no longer land. When humor hurts. A sense of humor is one of life's greatest gifts. It lifts heavy moments, eases tensions, and connects people across differences. But humor, like language itself, evolves. What made a room roar with laughter 20 or 30 years ago might now leave people silent, uncomfortable, or even hurt. Often without realizing it, we continue to tell the jokes we've always told. unaware that the world has moved on. Jokes rooted in stereotypes, gender roles, or poking fun at someone's background were once shrugged off as harmless. Today, they land differently. I remember Mr. Klein, a man whose wit had once been the life of every gathering. Yet at a recent family reunion, when he joked about his niece's career choices with outdated assumptions, the laughter was strained. Conversations soon shifted away from him. His charm hadn't disappeared. It had simply fallen out of sync with the sensitivities of a new generation. The danger is not in joking itself. It is in joking without awareness. When humor punches down, when it targets someone's identity, choices, or struggles, it no longer feels clever. It feels dismissive, and younger generations, raised in a world more attuned to inclusion and empathy, are especially sensitive to that shift. This doesn't mean you must become humorless or walk on eggshells. Far from it. True humor, the kind that endears and endures, is never about putting someone down. It's about lifting the moment, finding shared absurdities, laughing together instead of at someone else's expense. Self-deprecating humor, the ability to gently poke fun at your own quirks, your own aging process, your own outdated habits, is timeless. It shows humility, resilience, and wisdom. It says, I'm still learning, I'm still laughing, and I'm not afraid to let you see that. Before you deliver an old joke, pause. Ask yourself, is this building warmth or drawing a quiet line between us? Is this a joke we can share or one that makes someone feel small? Because the goal of humor is not to prove you are clever. It is to remind others that despite all our differences, we can still laugh under the same roof in the same moment, with the same open heart. When you master that kind of humor, you don't just stay relevant, you stay loved. Number 11, acting helpless when you're not. Losing agency by default. As life advances, it's natural to need help with certain things that once came easily. Accepting that help, when needed, is a form of wisdom. But there's a hidden danger in asking for help too quickly, too often, or for tasks you are still very capable of handling. That danger is the gradual erosion of your agency, your quiet power to shape your own life. Over time, a pattern of "I can't" when you actually can sends a message you may not intend. I am no longer capable. I am no longer strong. I recall Mrs. Hanley, a fiercely independent woman who, after a short illness, began asking her daughter to handle even the smallest household tasks. Watering plants, opening mail, adjusting the thermostat. At first, her family was eager to help. But soon, her daughter began to feel overwhelmed, as if she had taken on an invisible second household. And Mrs. Hanley, once a vibrant part of her family's life, began to be treated more as an obligation than an inspiration. The truth is, people admire effort more than ease. They respect the person who struggles and persists far more than the one who silently retreats into helplessness. Every time you say, "Let me try first," you affirm your vitality. Every time you say, "I might need help, but let me give it a shot," you protect your agency. And here's the paradox. When you hold on to your independence where you still can, others are more eager and honored to step in when you truly need them. They don't feel burdened. They feel trusted. This is not about stubborn pride. It's about preserving the quiet dignity of doing what you can for as long as you can. Pick up your own groceries, even if it takes longer. Try setting up the new phone yourself before handing it off. Ask for instructions rather than immediate solutions. Every small act of effort builds a bridge back to your own inner strength and keeps your connections with others free from the invisible weight of resentment. When you act capable where you are capable, you send a clear, powerful message to yourself and to the world. I am still here. I am still able. I am still writing my story. Number 12, insisting on always being right. Trading connection for control. Experience should lead to wisdom, but sometimes it quietly morphs into something else. The unspoken belief that our way is the only right way. It happens so subtly. After decades of solving problems, raising families, navigating careers, you gather a lifetime of hard-won truths. And yet, if we're not careful, that confidence can harden into insistence, into correction, into conversations where connection is lost because control took its place. I remember Mr. Alvarez, a beloved community leader, known for his strong principles and unwavering advice. Yet in his later years, family gatherings grew tense. His adult children hesitated to share news, knowing every decision would be second-guessed. His grandchildren tiptoed around dreams and plans, bracing for lectures disguised as conversations. Mr. Alvarez believed he was guiding them. They experienced him as dismissing them. Every time we insist on being right, even with the best intentions, we quietly teach others that their experiences, perspectives, and choices don't matter as much as our approval. True wisdom is not the loud assertion of answers. It is the quiet invitation to dialogue. It's the willingness to say, "I hadn't thought of it that way," or "Help me understand what matters to you." It's the patience to listen to a different experience without immediately offering a correction. When you resist the urge to dominate a conversation with your certainty, something beautiful happens. People lean in. They share more. They trust deeper. They leave the encounter feeling respected, not reprimanded. The truth is, people rarely remember whether you were right. They remember how you made them feel. They remember whether they left your presence feeling expanded or diminished. Being right is easy. Being kind, being open, being curious, that takes real strength. The older you grow, the more powerful your example becomes. Choose to be the elder whose legacy is not, "I always knew better," but "I always made others feel seen, valued, and capable." That kind of influence doesn't fade with time. It only deepens. As we reach this moment together, I invite you to pause, take a deep breath, and gently hold up a mirror to yourself. What did you recognize? What stirred something inside you? Maybe there were habits that felt uncomfortably familiar. Maybe there were moments of pride in the wisdom you've already cultivated. Maybe both. That right there is the essence of aging well. It's not about perfection. It's not about pretending time hasn't touched you. It's about continuing to grow courageously, even when the world says you have earned the right to coast. It's about choosing reflection over rigidity, curiosity over criticism, kindness over control. The truth is, aging gracefully doesn't mean never stumbling. It means noticing when you stumble and reaching inward for the strength to rise a little higher each time. It means accepting that while some parts of life become harder, your ability to choose grace, dignity, and presence only grows stronger. I think of all the elders I've known who kept shining brightly well into their 70s, 80s, even 90s. What set them apart wasn't their flawless health or perfect memory. It was their spirit, their willingness to keep learning, their humility to laugh at themselves, their courage to say, "I can still become a better version of myself." So today you have a choice. Not a heavy burden, but a beautiful invitation. You can choose to carry forward not just the years, but the light. You can choose to be the person who lifts a room simply by how you listen, how you move, how you speak, how you love. And every small adjustment you make, a gentler word, a more attentive ear, a willingness to update an old belief, ripples outward into your family, your friendships, your community. You become a living legacy of grace. Not a statue frozen in time, but a river, always flowing, always fresh, always nourishing the world around you. Thank you for walking this journey with me today. If any of these reflections touched your heart, I invite you to leave a comment below and share what resonated most. Your thoughts matter deeply. If you found this video meaningful, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who might need these reminders too. Together, we can build a world where aging is not feared, but embraced as one of the richest, most powerful chapters of all.